I'm wondering if I have anything really to say about light and darkness, but I'm just going to riff.
Hey everybody, it's Pastor Los. Glad to be with you for another edition of Gospel Unplugged. This time it is the Advent edition. We are in the first of 4 weeks of Advent, and all 4 weeks are going to be spent in the first chapter of the Gospel according to St. John. I am guessing that as we go through these 4 weeks, there'll be a number of verses that you hear or that you recognize or are familiar, but I'm also going to guess you haven't read them through, so that would be kind of fun. And there's so much in those verses, we spread them out over 4 weeks. And to do this first week of Advent, I am joined by my stellar colleague,
Pastor Becca Freeman. Good to be with you.
Great to be with you too. So we're going to read the first 5 verses, and this is the way the whole of John's Gospel begins. So beginning at the first verse of the first chapter, St. John writes, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things came into being through him, and without him not one thing came into being. And what has come into being in him was life, and the life was the light of all people. And the light shines on in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it." Whoa. A lot going on. What grabbed your attention? What got you thinking?
Well, first of all, folks, I printed out Pastor Los's devotions from like 6 years ago because he has a whole wonderful devotion, but we're getting that again this year, different devotions. And I realized you're a good biblical scholar, Pastor Los. And what I noticed, you're welcome. I wish I could quote all this stuff so beautifully, but I'm going to lean on you for that. But what I am going to say is this Gospel of John is probably my favorite, and it really came to life for me when I left college and went out to work in the L'Arche community. And for those of you who haven't heard, I've talked about it a lot, but L'Arche is an international federation of communities for people with and without disabilities who live together like a family. And I lived with a bunch of nonverbal people. And so this very opening sentence where it says, "In the beginning was the Word." Prior to going to L'Arche, I thought of word as a very cerebral thing. I'm a person who loves words. I love to write. I love to communicate. I was just in Spain. I couldn't communicate because I didn't know how to read or, speak Spanish. I was reminded that, like, whether you speak a word or write a word or not, the word is embodied in this very incarnational sense in this John text. And so the folks that I lived with at L'Arche really showed me that light shines outside of just a spoken word, but through an embodied, vulnerable, fragile world.
John's a pretty cerebral author. I mean, the reason the symbol for St. John is the eagle is because St. Augustine always said John's theology soars above all the rest. And so he begins with this very weighted theological, philosophical meditation on the Word. But I think ultimately what he's hoping for is what you just shared and experienced, that Word isn't living way above us, but the Word and the light and the life of the Word comes down and is embodied in Jesus, but also in the people that we meet and interact with. And it's so much more than talking.
It's so much more than talking.
Writing. It is a way of being that emanates, radiates light.
And that says it, because it says all things came into being through him, and without him, not one thing came into being. Now, you and I both know we love doing baptisms, and during the baptismal service, we quote this line sometimes along with the Matthew line, but, the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness did not overcome it. And then we go on to say, "Let your light so shine before others that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father in heaven." Now, I'm going to go like ixnay the works part, but just like in your being, like people will see in your being that you carry the light of Christ. You are connected to, and the death and resurrection of Jesus in your baptism, this very light and very being and the very vulnerability.
Yeah, and we all know people who just can't help it. Like they just radiate it. I actually think, Pastor Freeman, you're one of those people.
Oh, seriously? I'm going to make you cry, but thank you.
That there's a joyfulness that you couldn't contain if you wanted to. And I think when we try to be like that, for others, it feels really good. And I think that's part of what some of the promises that are here. And that last line, which is also the line that we focused on for our Advent theme, the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness did not overcome it. I actually misread it or mistranslated it a little bit. It's the way I would prefer it were translated, which is not just the light shines in the darkness, but I always read it as the light shines on in the darkness. It's not a one-time thing, but it's persisting, even though there's a lot of darkness out there. And it's not just past tense, and the darkness did not overcome it long ago, but has not overcome it, will not overcome it.
That's awesome.
And I think that's the promise that we're trying to lift up for people this season, always, but especially with this opportunity to focus on John this season, is that promise that what happens at Christmas continues to create a sense of light, that we can live and radiate and share and take hope in. And maybe when it feels darkest in the world, or that's when that promise becomes the most powerful.
I love that. I love that. Martin Luther King, in his last speech before he died, I think said something like, "Only when it's dark enough can you see the stars." And then the very next day, his death came. And but he said, if I would want to live at any other time, would it be any different from now? He took you through all of history, and he said, nope, I would choose to live today. And I think that leads right into that. And then he says, only when it's dark enough can you see the stars. And we know that there's hope beyond us. And we just have to keep living that for others and helping people recognize it when it seems so very dark. So,
that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
So I know we often will close the Gospel Unplugged with a question or two to get you thinking about this passage as we come to Sunday. So I know you have a question or two prepared.
Sure do. All right. My first one is, let me see what I wrote. How do you find hope in the promise that darkness will not overcome light? Number one. Number two, where have you found light in places that have seemed dark? That's it.
Which I think is great. It's an invitation for us to kind of think about the hopeful character and then put it into action. Look for it.
Yeah.
Because when you look for it, you'll be surprised all the places you might just find it.
You might discover it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you for being a part of this journey with us. And we will see you this first Sunday in Advent.